You're the
Grinch.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch.
Merry Christmas, YouTube. It is Christmas Eve, and I thought what better video to do today other than one on my Howard S. Studios life-size Grinch. This, of course, is based on Jim Carrey's appearance as the Grinch in the 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This bust is based on Rick Baker's work in that film. Again, it's life-size. It is a silicone bust. Howard did two versions of this. A resin cast version that had resin cast eyebrows and stuff. But it was bald, so you did have to attach hair. And he also did this silicone version. This is NFT hair that Howard used throughout the bust. And as you can see, for the the hairline and even the eyebrows, Howard hand punched each strand, even the beard. I think for the body, the construction, he probably just used the hair on the mesh and push pinned it to the body. The eyes are acrylic with hand punched eyelashes, I'm sorry. The skin, and the flash may be drawing this out, but the skin on this bust looks incredibly lifelike. This was one of the first busts that I picked up, and I picked this up back in 2010. I think Howard had done this maybe a year or two prior, and in 2010 is when I committed to picking one up. But this was the bust that kind of convinced me that I was no longer interested in life-size busts that had sculpted hair, because they look so much better with the hand-punched hair. This is also the bust that I have an incredibly hard time styling the hair. So as you can see, the Grinch's mohawk is kind of messed up. I have to play with it again to get it look as it did in the film. There's a lot of monster connections with this piece. Of course, you have Rick Baker. This is based on Rick Baker's work in the film. The 1966 cartoon was narrated by Boris Karloff. Dr. Seuss, the Grinch. So this is definitely a piece that I knew I'd want in my collection. There aren't very many Grinches out there. There's some latex masks. I think Immortal Masks makes a silicone version. And just a few years ago, Pat McGee of McGee Effects, they came up with their own version too that looks great. Bobby Cossey did a silicone version that ended up in a European collector's collection. So those are just 3 or 4 examples that I know of the Grinch. Closing on some of the details. This piece, it's massive. It's about the size of Howard's werewolf, American Werewolf in London pieces. Those transformation busts that he does. It's got the same, very similar body type. It's very heavy. It's a solid bust. It's not solid silicone, but it's filled. It's foam. I guess I'm I don't know if it's foam filled or what, but it's very heavy. It has actually two kind of wood beams on the bottom to support the bust so it stays flat on the surface. NFT, my understanding is they don't make this here until late summer for all the Christmas costumes that they have to do for Universal. So I think Howard can only produce these certain times a year if you're going to put it in order. As you can tell, it's a labor-intensive piece. He did a cool, like, star-shaped, kind of twisty, you know what Dr. Seuss is famous for, star pattern for the collar of the bust. Mine's is kind of, you can kind of see hints of it here and here and here and here, but I've got to style it again. I've moved this bust around several times, which is kind of what messed up the hair. Just for kids to see, and I bring it upstairs during Christmas. Let me show you guys what this bust looks like with the flash off. So this is more what you see in person. Again, the skin, it's so lifelike in person, and to the touch. The eyes again are acrylic. Probably the only shortcoming on this piece is that I feel the eyes could have been a little more detailed. I had the resin version, and I had that piece painted by Jeff Camp. So, and he's great with painted eyes, so I'm kind of spoiled in that regard. But still, from head to chest, this is a great piece. And one of the bigger pieces in my collection. This took Howard from the time that I commissioned him to the time that I received it, maybe about a year to complete. I know for some collectors these wait times are kind of insane, but I'm used to dealing with those sort of time restraints on these projects with some of the bigger sculptors. There is a wait list, involved in some of these commissions, and I go into these projects understanding that. Oh, and I think this was the second silicone piece that I owned. And this along with Howard's Terminator. His Terminator was the first piece, and you can kind of see that one back there, that I own silicone piece, and that kind of steered me away from the resin stuff, and pointed me in this much more high-end direction of my collection. So there he is, fellas. Howard S. Studios Silicone Grinch, based on the Rick Baker makeup from the 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I wish you guys all a Merry Christmas, a happy, safe, prosperous New Year. Made a lot of great friends this year through this whole YouTube video thing, and I hope to make many more in the coming year. Wish you guys all the best, and I will see you guys in the next.